Hello there, my name is Jemima, and today, along with Marcus, Iggy, and Greg, we will be discussing an action plan for our recommendation to the company KingJewels. So, our mission statement is that we want to help minimize the harm from conflicts of interest and ensure the successful future of KingJewels. So, the problem that this action plan is surrounding is that working within the company, accountant Tam Wei Man has found out that her brother has been accepting rebates for inadequate gemstones. However, she doesn't know what her course of action is. There are multiple conflicts of interest that are clashing with the business's success and causing a negative impact on the profitability and the business's image. So the main individuals involved is we've got Clement Tam, who is Operations and Gem Sourcing Director, and he's the one who has been found of accepting these rebates of the inadequate gemstones. It's also important to note that he's the one that is brothers to Tam Wei. And then we have Tam Wei Man. She's in charge of finance and accounting, and she's the sister to Clement. And then we have Andy Wong, and he's the founder, CEO of KingJewels, figurehead of this empire. He's really just involved in most aspects, such as marketing and business development. And then we have Chan Ming, who is business services manager. So our solution to KingJewels is that we believe in ethics training, and that really is just instilling ethical values, behaviors, and standards into employees, and just have an overall sense of trust and cohesion stemming mostly from those owners and managers up high in the business. And now Marcus will be going into more details regarding ethical training.
All right, so ethics training and oversight for business is a structured and systematic approach to instilling ethical values, behaviors, but also ethical standards amongst employees while we're ensuring compliance with relevant laws and regulations, but also with industry standards. Now, it involves a series of activities and processes that are designed to promote ethical conduct, prevent misconduct, and monitor adherence to ethical principles. And so an effective ethics training and oversight program will help businesses build a culture of ethics, of integrity, compliance, which then not only reduces the risk of misconduct, but will also enhance an organization's reputation and then long-term success as well. And so there's really 7 steps that we looked at on how to incorporate ethics training within a business and within KingJewels. And so the first step, which is quite a big step, is undertaking an assessment of the ethics principles and the current ethics standpoint within a business. And so identifying gaps where training is needed. And it's then about developing policies from these gaps, designing the training program to make it engaging and relevant to the staff, designing oversight mechanisms to ensure that the training is actually being implemented into work product. And then it's about implementing this training, maybe doing a trial group. And then steps 6 and 7 are the ongoing steps. So the steps that will keep going throughout the course of the business. The audits of the training to make sure that the training is still relevant and still meets the legal requirements. And then it's at step 7 is about redesigning. So if we find in one of our audits that the training is not up to scratch, then it's about redesigning the training and make sure that we're meeting all of these obligations that we need to be. And so then we look at step 1 in a little bit more detail, an assessment and an analysis of the particular needs of this training. So conducting a comprehensive assessment of the ethical climate within the business, identifying gaps, potential risks, and areas where training and oversight is required. And so there's really 2 groups of people that could be doing this. The first is the HR team, but the second, which would be quite a bit more costly, but also more effective, is utilizing a consulting firm due to their specialist capabilities, I guess. We're assuming that this will sort of take anywhere from 1 month to 2 months, and major costs are the time taken. So obviously if the HR team's working on this, they can't be working on other things, surveying costs, and then any consulting costs if they choose to go with the consulting firm. There are, however, some potential problems where there's some kickback from staff not wanting to aid the assessment or an incorrect assessment leading to inadequate training or training focused on the wrong ethics practice. So we've identified a gap where actually the business is really good at, and we're designing training to fill that gap which isn't there. And so the next step is really developing strong ethics policies and guidelines. So finalizing a set of clear ethics policies and guidelines and ensuring that they're aligned with the legal requirements and the industry standards. So using senior management to finalize a set of guidelines to look over them, and then using the legal team to ensure that the legal requirements are there. Thinking this will take a couple of months 2 to 3 of this project. And then again, major costs will be legal costs, getting the legal team to look over it, particularly going back and forth where HR sends a set of policies to the legal team. The legal team come back saying, hey, look, you're missing this, we need this. And that's why it's going to take that little bit longer. And the potential problems, again, the ethics policies could be irrelevant to the ethical issues from the assessment if that assessment is wrong. And if that's the case, then there's going to be no benefit for the business. And so really need to make sure that the assessment is correct. Otherwise, all this training, all the steps after step one are just going to be irrelevant.
Designing the employee training program. Our primary goal is to develop a tailored ethics training program based on established ethics guidelines and assessment findings. As recommended by experts on management, the training program will include real-life scenarios to make it relevant and more engaging for its participants. The responsibility for this lies within our HR department, and the timeframe is set for months 4 to 5. In saying this, there are potential challenges. The training program may initially be ineffective in conveying the intended ethics policies, therefore leading to a loss in time and money spent in designing the initial program. Designing oversight mechanisms. Let's delve into the design of oversight mechanisms to promote ethics. We'll designate an officer responsible for monitoring how ethics are demonstrated in the workplace and a safe place for ethical violations to be reported. This duty falls on senior management, as they will delegate the responsibility among themselves, most likely in the HR field. This timeframe for this is 6 months and will be in place until further review. We must be aware of all potential possibilities, such as if the assigned officer becomes overwhelmed with other responsibilities or is not being used enough. There's also the risk of the designated officer being ethically compromised, which would cause the role to be invalid. Implementation of employee ethics training. Moving on to the implementation phase, our focus is on effectively rolling out the ethics training and getting into current sectors of the business. We propose starting with a test group to ensure the training's effectiveness before a full-scale rollout. This group will be monitored and results will influence the manner in which the training is employed. The teams responsible for this stage are the employee training team and HR, working in coordination. The timeframe for this phase is set for month 7. We should anticipate potential problems, notably the lack of staff support, a lack of motivation to learn, or a lack of understanding of why the training is taking place.
Establishing and implementing regular assessments and audits to ensure the training is effective into the future. This refers to conducting periodic assessments of the program's effectiveness, and it will be conducted by human resources and the appointed ethics officer. And the time frame for this is the 8th month after the implementation, or 8th month of the program. Now, this will cost time for the business and the cost of audits and consulting costs for the company as well. Potential problems with this are there could be inaccurate assessments where in fact, despite an audit suggesting the training is effective, it's not. This could lead to a false understanding of the business's ethical standing and therefore limit the program. Redesign the training program as required and ensure the ethics policies are still being met. This is reviewing and updating the action plan in order to address and emerging challenges or changes in ethical standards. This will again be conducted by HR, appointed ethics officer, senior management, and the legal team. This is an ongoing solution. And so the program will continue to be chopped and changed as needed in order to meet new needs of the businesses. This will cost legal fees, consulting costs, time of the business, wages, and the opportunity costs of this time. Potential problems of this is it could become too expensive if redesigning regularly becomes a necessity if things are changing too fast. The possibility that due to changes, previous training may become irrelevant and ineffective, which could lead to more regular ethics training than previously thought. With respect to KingJewels, in the context of this case, it could be implemented as an effective solution to ensure the problems in their corporate hierarchy never cause such harm again, and to make sure employees always know what's required of them and what to do when such situations arise. Ethics training would help improve decision-making, which didn't occur in this case, where unethical behaviour was conducted to meet sales targets. It would also help them rebuild and establish a reputation as a trustworthy business partner, leading to long-term sustainability and better shareholder relations. Ethics training is a proactive and systematic educational program designed to instill ethical principles, moral intuition, and a deeper understanding of ethical decision-making amongst employees. It empowers individuals to recognise and navigate ethical dilemmas, fostering a workplace culture rooted in strong ethical values and principles. Ethics training can effectively resolve conflicts by equipping employees with the knowledge and skills needed to make ethical decisions, thereby reducing the likelihood of unethical behaviour and promoting a workplace environment where conflicts are addressed with integrity and adherence to ethical standards. So the people mostly involved with this solution are human resources, legal, and the senior management of the company, and it would take around 8 months to implement and then obviously ongoing into the future as things need to be changed. The opportunity costs of time spent on an assessment design are a big cost, and the implementation and redesign of the training, the legal costs, and potential consulting costs are other costs that KingJewels would have to consider when implementing this solution. Potential problems for KingJewels is if it becomes too expensive, the staff don't buy into what they're doing, the oversight is ineffective, which would lead to false assumptions that the training is effective and therefore limit the effectiveness of this solution.